Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to talk about Azure Container offerings. Yes, today we'll see all those offerings provided by Azure for the container services. Well, before we can run any container workload, we need to think for a repository to store and maintain our images. And that's our first offering, Azure Container Registry, a repository for images. Azure Container Instance is a managed service to spin up container without thinking of infrastructure. Yes, it's a container as a service. Well, now we are spinning containers and their count is going to increase, and we need proper orchestration, which leads to Azure Kubernetes Service, or AKS. Now we can also run microservices on a serverless platform with the help of Azure Container Apps. We could also run container apps on app services, which is a managed hosting service for applications. We can run container on Azure Functions as per the requirement, which is again a serverless approach. Finally, Azure Service Fabric, which is an orchestration tool, but also provide framework for microservices. Well, these are the offerings from Azure side for containers. And now let's explore most used services a little further with some use cases and pricing and important features. Yes, this is Azure Container Registry. ACR is a managed registry service based on the open source Docker 2.0. ACR available in 3 tiers: basic, standard, and premium. Basic for getting started, standard for most production application, and premium for hyperscale performance and geo-replication. ACR transfers container images over HTTPS and supports TLS to secure client connections. Use Azure RBAC to assign users or systems fine-grained permissions to a registry. Microsoft Defender for Cloud optionally integrates with ACR to scan images whenever an image is pushed to a registry. ACR implements Docker's content trust model, enabling pushing and pulling of signed images. Azure Container Registry can include both Windows and Linux images. You can configure ACR tasks to automatically rebuild application images when their base images are updated. ACR could be public and private repository. Well, if we need to talk about use cases, it's an image repository which supports various deployment targets like Kubernetes, Docker Swarm, and Azure services like App Service, Functions, ACI, etc. ACR pricing is based on per day basis as per the tier selected, plus additional charges for storage. We should create a container registry in the same region in which we're deploying containers, placing our registry in a region that is network close to your container host can help lower both latency and cost. This is all about ACR for now. Let's check ACI. Azure Container Instances. ACI is a service that deploys containers on Azure without having to provision or manage any underlying infrastructure. ACI can run either Windows or Linux containers. It could run on standard images or customized one. By default, Azure Container Instance is public, but you can also deploy ACI to a virtual network if you're looking for just private network access. ACI also supports persistent storage, and Azure files could be used for it. When we build ACI, we must, or we might just be running single instance. However, You do have the option to deploy more than one instance, which is referred as container groups. But we cannot deploy it through portal, or we need to do it through ARM template or YAML file. ACI provides optimum utilization by allowing exact specification of CPU cores and memory. ACI build as per the resource utilization, vCPU and memory for time measured in seconds. Well, it doesn't have orchestration here, right? But we do have some use cases for you. Azure Container Instance is a great solution for any scenario that can operate in isolated containers, including simple application, task automation, and build jobs. For scenarios where you need full container orchestration, we recommend AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service. If you want to do the deep dive on AKS, you can check a playlist on this channel. We have more than 66 videos there around in the playlist. So AKS is a managed container orchestration service. Azure manages all the complex parts of running Kubernetes, and you can focus on your container managed. AKS comes in free and standard tier. As you can see, standard tier is with financially backed SLA. A node pool is a group of similar configuration nodes or same-sized VMs. AKS supports multiple node pools. Hence, you could have multiple node pool as per the requirement of the workload and make your AKS more efficient and cost-effective. AKS provides you the option of stop your cluster when not required. For example, development clusters is used only in business hours. To optimize your cost, you can completely turn off your cluster. To rapidly scale application workloads in an AKS cluster, you can use virtual nodes. With virtual nodes, you have quick provisioning of pods and pay per second for the execution time. And these virtual nodes are created with one of the service that we talked about, ACI. AKS continuously monitors the health state of worker nodes and performs automatic node repair if they become unhealthy. AKS provides auto upgrade. By enabling auto upgrade, you can ensure your clusters are up to date. AKS also supports Azure AD integration. With Azure AD integration, we can set up Kubernetes access based on existing identity and group membership. And Azure Monitor fully supports it. Also gives a lot of insights. Now let's check some use cases. Well, AKS is ideal for easy migration of the existing apps to containers. It also AKS also ideal for simplifying the deployment and management of applications based on microservices. AKS also a reliable instrument for bringing DevOps and Kubernetes together. Data streaming can be made easier with AKS as well. AKS pricing is based on as per worker node storage and network. And now it's time for ACA, or Azure Container Apps. With Azure Container Apps, you can enjoy the benefits of running containers while leaving behind the concerns of managing cloud infrastructure and complex container orchestrators. Yes, it is further managed, right? Not even orchestrator along with cloud infrastructure. So container app enables you to run microservices and containerized applications on a serverless platform with full support for Dapper, distributed application. Dapper provides APIs that simplify microservice connectivity. ACA can scale dynamically based on HTTP traffic or events powered by Kira, Kubernetes event-driven autoscaling. Right, now we have both Dapper and Kira here. Container apps implements container app versioning by creating revisions. Container apps allows you to expose your container app to the public web, to your VNet, or to other container applications with your environment by enabling ingress. ACA run in the context of an environment which could be external or internal. Now, let's check some use cases for ACA. Well, the common use cases of ACA: deploying API endpoints, hosting background processing applications, handling event-driven processing, running microservices. We could also utilize container images with Azure Functions and Azure Web Apps. We could also run Azure DevOps Build Agent on container. With this, I would like to close my video. Thanks to all. Hope this would be helpful. Bye-bye.